my screen now? Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, please type yes. All right. So that's good. You are welcome to the Python class. And last week we talked about, can you see the Anaconda screen? If you can see the Anaconda screen, just type yes. So let's open the Jupyter Notebook. So last week we talked about how we can read in CSV. We talked about how we can filter CSV when it is 7:05. I'm not going to admit anybody in again. So please ensure that you register with your full name when you are logging in so that I can accept you. If you don't register with your full name, I'm not going to accept you. All right. So while we are waiting for our Jupyter Notebook to launch, so last week we look at how we can filter and also how we can read in our CSV file, save our CSV file and the likes. Can you see the Jupyter Notebook now? Can you see the Jupyter Notebook? If you can see the Jupyter Notebook, say yes. All right, perfect. Let's continue. I'm not admitting anybody again. So let's open so today we are is going to be more of data cleaning. And also, if we have time, we are going to talk about some aggregation of data in Python. So we know that when we want to clean data in, because last week it was pandas that we used. Also this week, we are still going to make use of pandas. So import pandas as PD. Now, I have my data set here that I want to use, which is a messy data set. And this is the name of the data set, messy data set. So as you can see, that it's a CSV file. So for good practice, so that you will not make mistake, just copy the name. And like I taught you last week, and come and read in the CSV file. So df equals to pd dot read CSV dot CSV. So let's read that in. And let's look at our data. So let's run it. So this is our data. It contains, you remember last week we did describe data. We are not going to do that today because that's not our major concern. Today we want to clean data. And if you see here, you will see that some data are missing. For example, the age is missing, the address is missing, and some names are also missing here. So how do we do that? How are we going to do that? So to do that, just like in other packages where you have missing values, you have duplicates. Also in Python, you can also deal with missing values and you can also deal with duplicates. So let's start with duplicates. Let's see if this data has duplicates. So we have df we want to know df no number of duplicates. So we want to drop every duplicate that it has. So drop duplicates. So let me run the code now. So let's see and see, let's print this. I've said I'm not going to allow anybody in again. I'm sorry. I've already given the instruction on the WhatsApp group. So let's run it. So this shows that this code is not having any duplicates. This code is not having any duplicates. That's what it shows, that the code is not having any duplicates. So that's fine. Let's look for missing numbers. Now, so this is the code for duplicates, just like the word duplicate, drop duplicates. So for missing numbers, to do missing numbers, it is let's call it drop, let's call it df drop equals to df. Remember that our data is df, our data frame is df. So df dot drop now. So to drop missing numbers, this is the code. Drop now is the code. So let's see how many missing numbers that was dropped. So let me print this df dropped now and see how many missing numbers that were dropped. So as you can see, more than 7,000 rows were missing, and we can't find them here again. We can't find them in this age. We can't find any missing number here again. All has been filled up. Now, let me now tell you, since I've been working in the industry as a data analyst, we have never removed any missing number in any data. We don't remove missing number in any data. So there's something that we call filling in of missing numbers, because missing numbers are as a result of poor data quality. So all you need to do is, when you have missing numbers, so don't except you are practicing on your own, that's when you drop missing numbers. No, when you are working in an industry, you don't drop missing numbers. You don't leave them out, except on very rare occasions when your stakeholders want you to leave them out, if it is very minute. But if you look at this, we have more than 6,500 rows that are missing. So obviously it's going to affect the analysis. And so you need to go and meet your stakeholders. Oh, these data are missing. So how do we go about it? This data and this data are missing. Then how do we go about it? So how do we fill in those missing numbers? So let's read our DF again and see those columns that has missing numbers. Now, if you look at this place now, you will see that these are the following missing numbers. The age has missing numbers. Can you see? The name has missing numbers. The address also has missing numbers. Now, how can you know the number of missing numbers in all these in this data frame? How do you know the number of missing numbers? So this is how you know the number of missing numbers. All these people that are in the lobby, they are confusing me. I've already said, please join before 7 p.m. So I don't know why you are joining now. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to admit anybody because you are confusing me. So now let's call it df null. We want to know the number of missing number in each of our data frame. So we have df dot, so to know it is null and we introduce our function dot sum. Then we have our function again. So this is how we know so let's print our missing numbers. So let's print df null now. Now, as you can see in this place, for missing numbers in names has the following missing numbers: 975, age has 5096, phone number has 988 missing numbers, and address has 1025 missing values. So how do we now go about these missing values, since we already have an idea of the missing values that we have? And so this is where, so let's start with age. If we want to fill in age, most of the time, because maybe you have asked your stakeholder and the stakeholder says, because age is more or less like integer, that you should fill in with either mean or median. So if you want to fill your age with mean or median, don't forget that last week I taught you how to call out a column. And if we want to call out the column for age now, is df. Don't forget that I call you how to call out a column, df age. So this gives us this column, which is age. So we want to fill it with the mean. So dot fill now, and you open a bracket again, df. This is just the syntax, and that is how it works. Then age again, then you have dot mean, and you close the bracket again. Now, if you can pull it like this, then you put dot, no, comma, in place equals to true. I'm still going to explain it, but allow me to type it very well for you so that we are not, so that we don't get any error. Now, what this is doing is that we are replacing this column age. We are replacing this column age by the mean of all the age. So we are filling it in. So that's why we have fill now here. We are filling it in. And this is a bracket that has to be closed. And this is a function. This is just the syntax, and that is just how it works. So if we want to fill it with median, we can also change it to median. So let me run the code now. Now, it has worked. So let me print our df back. Now, as you can see, there is no missing numbers again because it has been filled by the mean. And you will see that some numbers are repeating themselves. So this is the mean that it was filled with. If you want to print the mean yourself, to know the mean, all you need to do is df.mean, and that will give us 54.47. So that is what we fill it with. So we fill it with the mean. Because of our time, I've not been commenting our code. So let me comment this. Fill the age with the mean. Then up here, don't worry, I'm going to send the code to you. So my comments also will help. So that's why, let me take time to comment. So fill, this one is to check the null values in the data sets. So we are checking the null values here. Now that one is print well understandably. Then this one is to drop missing variables. To drop missing values. So that is what that is for. And this one is to drop duplicates. So that when I send this code, at least that will be well understandably for you. So you can see that we have filled it with main. Now, don't forget that we still have phone number. We still have name. So if you have missing number in names, most of the time, the stakeholder might say, can you fill the name with unknown, since it is unknown? So if you want to fill this, if you want to fill the column name with unknown, how do we go about that? So this is the syntax. Let me copy this. So I will just edit this to name. So df name dot fill now. Then I'll open the bracket, close the bracket. So I'm filling it with unknown, then comma, in place equals to true. So what in place equals to true, what it's doing is that it matches all the rows so that it can match all the rows. So that is what in place equals to true is doing, so that it can match all the rows. So let me run this code now. Now it has worked. So let's print our data frame again. Now observe that there was a missing number here before. So let me run it. You can see it has filled it with unknown. It has been filled with unknown. So if we still have phone number that is still missing, an address that is still missing. So if you go to your stakeholder and your stakeholder said, okay, can we fill the phone number with just 000 so that we can have at least data that are not missing. We can, so that we have the data, we know that the data are not missing at all. So all you need to do is copy that, change this to phone number. Then now integer, we don't need to put it in any bracket. So this will be 0000. So we are filling every missing number of the phone number to 000. So let me run it now. So let's print our DF back. Don't forget that there was a missing number here for phone number previously. So let me run it now. So as you can see, it has been replaced with 000. Now, the reason why it was replaced with just 10 is because it's already reading it as integer. So if I want it to replace it, I want everything to be replaced with all these 00. All I need to do is put it here and let me rerun it. And let's rerun this as well. I think the kernel is misbehaving again. So, but as you can see, it has replaced it with 00. It has replaced it with zeros. Now, if we want to replace address, since address is also unknown, we can replace address with unknown. So let me copy this. And we want to replace address with unknown. So let me just change name with address. Now, all these things that I'm doing, the reason why I'm doing them one by one is because I'm teaching you. You can, if you want to do it at once, we can do it at once. And the code will just run at once if we want to do it at once. The code will run at once. You don't need to be doing it one by one. The code will run at once. You will just carry it as a set. And part of the part of what I'm going to send to you, I'm going to carry it together as a set so that you can see it. So let's print our DF again. Now you can see it has been replaced with unknown. So before I entertain question, another thing is if you want to rename column, let's assume that we want to rename this name to customer name. We want to rename the email to customer email. We want to rename phone to phone number. We want to rename age to, okay, we can leave age. We want to rename address to customer address. How do we go about that? So there's a function known as rename, and all you need to do is, so let me comment renaming our columns. So we have df.rename. Rename is a function, and the columns, you put in the columns you want to rename equal to, then you are going to make use of a set. So remember our first class when I taught you set, because, or dictionary. You remember our first class when I taught you set and dictionary. So this is how it's going to come in form of a dictionary. Name, we are changing name to customer name. So I'm not going to do it one by one. I'm going to do it together. So then, comma, we want to change phone to phone number. When it is 7:30, I will entertain question. We want to change phone to phone number to customer phone number. Then we close the sets. So we have to put in place equals to true. In place equals to true. Then we close it like that. You have to ensure that all your brackets are closed. So let me run this code now. So df rename, yes, column, all brackets are closed. This is the first bracket and it was closed here. This is the second bracket and it was also closed here. So let's run it. So let's print our data frame again. Now you can see that it has changed. I've changed the customer name. I've changed the customer phone number. So depending on whatsoever you want to change. Now, last week I taught you something on filtering. So for example, you now receive an email from one of your stakeholders that can we know how many employees that are above 25 years of age, or let's say that are above, since we have our mean as 54, that are above 50 years of age. So df filtered equals to df. So we want to filter by age. Remember that I taught you that last week. So let's refresh our memory again. So df age, we are calling the column age now. So when age is greater than 25, then that, so this will filter when age is greater than 50, since we have our average to be 54. The average age is 54. So let's run this now. So let's print the df filter and see the number of records we have of our employees that are more than 50 years of age. So we have 7,809 records of employees that are over 50 years of age. Now, last week, we were trying to save into CSV and the kernel was giving issues. So let me attempt to do it again for you now again. So we have our df filter to CSV. So our DF filter dot to CSV to CSV. So we open the bracket and close our brackets. So let's call it filtered data dot CSV. So if you want to save it as Excel, all you need to do is change it to XLX. And you also change this to XLX. But since I have used .csv, so let me leave it as .csv. Now, comma, you put index equals to false. Index equals to false. What you mean by index equals to false is that it should not record this index with it. It should not record these numbers, which are the index. It should not record it, and it should not save it as CSV with it. So remember that we have saved our CSV as filter data.csv. So let me run this now. It's going to save in our directory. So let me run this. Now let's check the directory now and see the data. You can see it has popped up, filter data.csv. So I can change the name. You will see that it will pop up again. Let me say above 50 years, 50 years age. Above 50 years age data, and let me run it. So let me scroll up. Okay, there you go. Can you see it? Above 50 age, so it's doing it in alphabetical order. Above 50 age data. So depending on any name you give to it, you can see that this was not there before, depending on the name that you give to your filtered data. I still have some other things to teach if time permits, if we can go into group aggregation. But let me see if we have any questions so that I can deal with it. Yes, I remember that you told us that we should not delete it. So how are we dropping data? Oh, yes, I think I've answered that now. So got that now that it won't be dropped. Yes, I just taught you the syntax so that you will know how to, just in case you want to, you are practicing and you want to drop some missing data. So I just dropped that. So please, sir, can you help us with all these syntax at the end of the lecture video? Yes, I said I'm going to send the code. I will have to watch for like 10 minutes. Don't worry, you are going to get it. All right. So I think I can proceed. Yeah, if one thing about this class is that if you miss a class, it will be quite difficult for you to understand what I'm teaching today. It will be a bit difficult for you to understand what I'm teaching because there's no way I want to go back and explain how to read in column. Now, renaming this column is easy because I've taught you dictionary in the first class. So that's why I didn't start with this. I start with the basics. So the only thing that are new today are how to fill in these, how to fill in values. Those are the only things that are new. How to fill in values, fill in missing numbers. And you can as well say you want to fill in with median and you change this to median. So it's just going to be dot median. And when you run it, it's going to work. And statistically, median most of the time is well acceptable than mean. for filling in integers like this. I mean, for analysis, for statistical analysis. Let me see if we have any question again before. Yes, can you save in .xlx? Yes, we can save. As long as we can import in, CSV, we can also save in XLX. That's why I said that. Now, if you look at here, it was saved in CSV. So if we want to save to XLX, if we want to save in XLX, I think let's do it since somebody is asking. So all we need to do is to XLX. XLX, is that the correct extension? .xlx. I hope that's the correct, because I don't know it offhand. I'm coming. Let me check. XLXX. Okay. XLL. Yeah, I'm making a mistake. I don't know it offhand. So that's why it's saying that it does not have an attribute of .xlx. To Excel, because .xlx is Excel. So it's going to be to Excel. Then the extension will now be to .xlxx. So let me run this. Yeah, perfect. So let's see it. Or let me rename so that it will not replace this. Let me rename this. No file type. Okay. That means that this is correct. To Excel is correct. Is it XLX? I don't usually save to Excel. So I don't know the file extension type for Excel. But to Excel, you have to have df.filter to Excel. Then I'm coming. Maybe this is the right. I don't usually save to Excel. Most of the time I use CSV. So that's why I don't know the extension. But to save, I think this is correct now. XLXX. Yes, that is correct. So we should have 2 here. Why is it not showing us 2? Yeah, as you can see, we have 2. That's why we have above 50 age data .xlxx. Can you see it now? So that's why we have 2 there. So it's going to be to Excel. That is what it's going to be, to Excel. But I don't usually, yes, thank you. I don't usually use Excel. I work majorly with CSV. So, but it's still the same thing. df filter dot to Excel, then we have that index equals to this. So now for group aggregations, how does group aggregations work? Now for this kind of data, we don't have any categorical data. What I mean by categorical data is that, for example, if we have something on maybe the departments of these people now, maybe some are in marketing departments, some are in finance departments, that is categorical data. All this data that is here, they are all continuous data. So if you want to do grouping in Python, you have to do it with categorical data. But there's a way we can manipulate this data. For example, if your stakeholder says, okay, can you help us group this age, the age of people, from, okay, we know that most employees will be from 11 to 20, 21 to 30. So the first thing you will do is to group your labels. That is, group the age. And how do you do that? What I'm saying is we want to group the age of people, the age, this column age, we want to group it to 11 to 20, just like you fill in a form. 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, 51 to 60. How do we do that? 61 to 100. So how do we go about that? So let me write so to define the bins for age ranges. So to do that, our bins, we know that people that are between 1 to 10 cannot be working in this organization. So our bins will be 0, or let's put it there, if we are not sure, 0, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 100. So then here again, we have let's have our labels. What's going to be our labels? Our labels will be from, since we have already add 0, 10, 20, 30 to 100, our labels will be, because I want to have it as 60 to 100. So our labels will be 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, then 51 to 60, then we have 61 to 100. So this is going to be our label. So let me run this now. So define the bins for age ranges, the bins and labels for the age ranges. So we have defined the bins and the labels now. So that's perfect. Don't forget that I taught you this. This is a what? A list. 2 weeks ago when I taught you lists. So this is how the application comes in. So that was why I first of all taught you lists 2 weeks ago. So if you missed that video, go and watch it, because somebody might ask that, why am I using a square bracket? Because it is a list. I want it to be in list, and that is why I'm using a square bracket. So let's now attempt to put this our label inside the column age. So how do we do that? So the comment is to create, we want to create a new column. Inside this column, we want to create a new column. And what should we call the column? Age group. So age group is what categorizes it. So how do we go about it? So we call it df, that's it, our data frame age group. That's the name we want to call the column, equals to pd.cut. This is the syntax. Cut is the syntax. Then we open the brackets, df. So our age now, That's the column that we want to cut. Then comma, beans equals to, don't forget that we have already defined our beans, equals to beans, and comma again, labels equal to labels. Then right equals to true. Now, why did I say right equals to true? I want the column to be populated on the right. So that is why I said right equals to true. I want the column to be populated on the right. So I will close this like this. So let's run our code. So let's print our data frame back and see what we have. So as you can see now, we have our age group. So you see 54.47 is between 51 to 60, 24 is 21 to 30, 54.47, 51 to 60, 54.47, 51 to 60, 74, 61 to 100. So we have already grouped the data, and you can confirm yourself that it is successful. So now, in this data already, we have a categorical data. So we can now aggregate this data. That is, if we want to know the number of if we want to know the number of people that are in this age group, so how do we now go about it? That is, we want to count the number of entries in each group. That is, your stakeholders told you, can we know the number of people that are between the age of 21 to 30, the number of customers that are between the age of 31 to 40, so that you know whether people that are patronizing your business, whether they are working class and stuff like that. So this is the reason why they could ask such a question. So how do we do that? So you make use of the group by. So this is where the group by comes in. So we are going to group by the age group. We are going to group by the age group and count the number of entries in each group. We are going to count the number of entries in each group. So let's call it age group counts. So age group counts equals to df dot group by. So we are grouping by age group by age group. So df dot size. So this is the syntax, dot size. And let me run the code now. So it has worked. So let me print out the counts. Let me print out our variable. Now, as you can see, just like my suggestion, how somebody between 1 to 10 cannot be working in an organization. So like I said, this is also a fake data. These are not real names. They are all fake data, because I'm going to upload this on YouTube so that YouTube will be aware as well. This is fake data. They are not real data. So take note of that. So I have already grouped this. So you can inform your stakeholders that the highest customers comes between the age of 51 to 60. So that means that possibly what this company is selling is beneficial for people between the age of 51 to 60. And it's possible that what they are selling, maybe it is a medication that is only adults when they grow that they use it mostly. That is what this data is suggesting. That is what this data is suggesting. And let me see if we have any question. Yes, it's not beans. They are reserved words. Yes, they are reserved words in Python. Why do we have to put them in quotation? Since they are integers. Now, The reason why we have to put them in quotation is because, let me go back to it. If you look at this place, if you look at these beans, I didn't put them in what? In quotation because they are integers. This has changed to integers because we want to make them categorical data and not continuous data again. So if you finish this class, go and Google what is categorical data and what is continuous data. But let me just give you a good definition of it. Categorical data, let me give you an example of categorical data. Categorical data is like male and female, just the word category. Those are categorical data. Those are examples of categorical data. When you have gender, those are examples of categorical data. So when you have something that can be grouped, that's when you have categorical data. And so we want to make the integer categorical, which shows that they are also, we are making it string and not integer again. So we have converted it to string and not integer again. And that is why we put them in a quote. So, but for continuous data, I'm not running this, sorry. For continuous data, I just give you. Now, what we just did now is as a turn to a categorical data too, because we have categorized, like the age group up here now is also a categorical data. So, but for continuous data, the rest of the of all the data here, they are all continuous data. So continuous data are data that cannot be grouped. They are data that cannot be grouped. So we have name, because there are many, name, age, email address. Is there a way you can group email address? The only way you can group email address is if you, except you want to remove their, maybe it is Yahoo Mail or Gmail, then you can group them because they have something in common. But when what people have separately, in layman's term, a category, continuous data are what people have separately. But for categorical data, they are category. So, for example, if we have the gender for this customer now, we have male, and we can group them by male and group by, we can group them by female or group by male. So that's why I said to use aggregation in Python, you have to use it with a categorical data. Let me see if I have. Okay, understood. Thank you, sir. If you have to find the gay of people, sorry, I don't understand that gay. Maybe you mistakenly typed something. If you have to find the age of people that is second largest. Yeah, I think what I just did has already answered that. The second largest group count is 61 to 100. Those people that are between the age of 61 to 100. That's the second largest group. That's the second largest group. So do we have any other question, or I have some things I want to talk, but I think the time is up. So maybe I should just do a recap. Do we have any other question from what we just been taught tonight? Any other question? All right. In the absence of no question, let's go back to what I've taught you tonight. And anyone that I didn't put comments, I'll put comment there. So when I started, we read in our CSV file. So let me put a comment. Reading in our CSV file. So we read in our CSV file. And if you are reading in because for the benefit of people that didn't attend last week class, if it is an Excel file, it will be df equals to pd.read Excel. And this one will be Mercy data.xlx. That is what it's going to be. But my data is not in My data is not in Excel, it's in CSV. So let me comment this one out. I just gave that as an example so that you also know how to read in a CSV file. So then I print our data frame, which is our variable, just to know all the columns that are involved. And here, don't forget I taught you describe last week, and that describe will show us our mean and everything. So we have 10,000 records. So first of all, we try to check for duplicates, and we saw that there are no duplicates. We try to drop duplicates. So we saw that there are no duplicates in the data. Then again, we try to drop missing values, and we saw that there are a lot of missing values. So instead of dropping, I told you that in organizations, you don't drop missing values. It's on very rare occasions, but you don't drop missing values. So that when you go for interview and they ask you about data cleaning, you will not say that I drop missing values. If I'm in that interview, I will not laugh because interviewers are trained to be professional. So when I finish the interview, then I will be using you to laugh that this person does not have an experience. So you don't remove missing values. So you deal with missing values by contacting the stakeholders and knowing what to fill it with. So I just gave an example. So this is how to check all the null values. So missing values is also known as null values. So null or missing values. So to check for email, we have no missing values for email. So, and I said we can fill, since age is numbers, they are integers, we can fill it with either mean or median. So we fill it with mean. So let me give you the code for median, but we fill our own with the mean. So if it is for median, I'm going to comment this out. So this one will change to median. That's what it's going to change to. It's going to change to median. Then we print out the data frame. So we saw that it has filled it with our mean. Then we fill the name with unknown because the names are unknown. And we fill the phone number with zeros. These are just example. And we fill the address with unknown, and they also change to unknown. Then I said if we want to rename columns, so we rename our columns. And for filtering, we did age, when age is greater than 50, when the age of the people is greater than 50, we want to know them. And we were able to get them 7,809. So we save it into CSV and also save into Excel. Then we created categorical data for the age, which is like this, created the column, and we print it out. And we can also decide, so we do this, and we can also decide to save our new data. So let's save our new data. So if we want to save our new data now, since it's ask age group, so let's call it message, let's call it clean data now. We are not going to call it, so we have DF, okay. So let's call it clean data now. We are not going to call it because it has been cleaned. Our data has been cleaned. So let's save it as CSV. So that will be df dot to CSV. So let's call it clean data dot CSV and index equals to false. So let's run it. So if we go to our, so I've saved it as clean data. So if we go to our, now you can see that we have the clean data now. And when you open it, when we open it, you can see we have our age group. As you can see, the age group is there. So that shows that we've cleaned our data and we have the correct data, and we can send it to our, we can send this to our stakeholders So do we have any other question? Can you please find time for us to bring up those challenges? If you experience challenges, just type it on the chat box as I'm teaching. If you experience some challenges while you are working, just type it, okay, I did this, then I will go back to it, but time is up now. So that is why I left the chat box open. So next week, if you experience any challenge, just type it on the chat box. Oh, while I was working, I experienced this challenge. Then the first 30 minutes while I've taught, I will go back to that challenge and everybody will understand. So you won't drop missing values. Yes, I said in companies, you don't drop missing values, but you have to know the code. You have to know the code as well. You have to know how to drop missing values. So what is the right terminology again? I'm not sure I get that question. Are you talking about null values or missing values? I just said that if you are working in an industry, we don't delete missing values. That's what I'm saying. We try to look for a way of filling it. And when we have missing values, we go back to the stakeholders. Oh, missing values are as a result of poor data quality. And sometimes some of them might even have the data. And so they will give you the data to fill it in. They might even have the data themselves, so you might need to fill it in manually. So that's why I said we don't delete missing values. Instead of dealing with missing value as deleting them. No, that is filling. That is why we use fill now. That was why we use fill now. That was why we use fill now. That was why we fill them. Maybe that's the terminology we need. This is it, fill now. So we fill them with what our stakeholders have told us. I just give that as an example. All right, so with that, we have come to the end of this class. In the next 24 to 48 hours, I will drop the YouTube video. I will drop the data and the Python code. So if you have any question, bring it next week. So as soon as I finish teaching for 30 minutes, I will entertain them if you are experiencing any challenge. So let me have your reaction if you enjoyed this class. Thank you very much. So next week, we'll be talking more of sorting data, merging data. If you want to merge different CSVs together, how do you do that? So we'll be talking more of matching CSV files together. So please, if you are going to be watching this video on YouTube, please, I want to encourage you to drop comments. So thank you very much. See you in the next class.